Sicily, island of legend, of mountains and the mafia, an island of flowers and orange groves and abiding tradition. But Sicily is also the home of the very last of the world's truly heroic motor races. The legendary Targa Florio run every spring over these mountain roads. The names of past winners read like a roll of honor of the sport. Divo, Vazzi, Villoresi, Biondetti, Taruffi, Moss, and perhaps the greatest of them all, Tazio Nuvolari. May the 4th, 1965, 5 days to go, and the Naples ferry arrives at Palermo. On board, the leading contenders for honors in the 49th Targa Florio. Monte Carlo rally winner Timo Markkinen has this Healy 3000. There's an MG midget for Paddy Hopkirk and Andrew Hedges. A prototype Healy Sprite for Altonen and Baker completes the BMC contingent. Porsche always do well in the Targa. A Sunbeam Tiger for Peter Harper and the Reverend Rupert Jones. And, of course, Ferrari are here. Soon the mountain roads reverberate to the sounds of unofficial practice, for which most of the works teams have brought spare cars. But for others, a long-suffering fired hack must serve. A lot of rubber is left behind, and there's some private dicing, despite the fact that the roads are still open to normal traffic. Scrutineering is at Cerda, about 10 kilometers beyond the start. That's Rano Altonen. The Ford GT, immaculately prepared for Bondurant and Whitmore, attracts attention. The regulations, by the way, demand a minimum turning circle. ABAT are well represented, and of course the entry list is rich in assorted outfits. Peter Harper has trouble finding the Tiger's splinter-proof label for the scrutineers, but on the whole, the proceedings are conducted with a charming informality. Paul Hawkins, Markkinen's co-driver, is in prayerful mood. But for Tumo, the prospect of his first Targa seems to please. Count Pucci, winner in 1964 with Huschke von Henstein, and from Britain, well, the face is familiar. Mike Parks of Ferrari checks Sprite development with Jeff Healy, and Joe Bonnier hopes for his third win. Nobody is allowed to spoil the finish of the Ford with common paint, and while the scrutineering goes on, Tommy Wisdom, himself a Targa veteran, has a word or two in English with Timo Markkinen.
Now, Timo, you've come to the Targa Florio, your first Targa Florio. Why have you done it?
Oh, it's lovely weather.
Well, that's a jolly good answer. Now, what do you think of the course?
Oh, it's very nice course, but very difficult to learn.
Yes, and you're pleased with the car?
Oh, not really very bumpy circuits. It's very hard.
Yes, what about tires?
Oh, you have a lot of tires. They're up there every 2 laps. I think we must change the
Sorry,
tires.
that's going to be hard work. Means you've got to go pretty quickly. Well, jolly good luck anyhow.
Thank you.
It's Timo who drives our camera around the 45-mile circuit. From the start, an easy climb to the village of Cerda. BMC put their trust for the Targa in rally drivers' hands, so Timo is an obvious choice. He takes Cerda with discretion. The roads are open. Now he's climbed to the heights above the village, and the downhill stretch to the valley of the river Salito begins. But what do other drivers think about this circuit with its 295 corners every lap?
Because it's important to just know what goes on around the next corner, and you get all sorts of people and going very quickly here. It's a very deflating circuit. I think it's good to come here once a year and get your balance sense of proportion correct. Otherwise, you might think you're not better than you are.
Graham Hill is to drive a prototype Porsche with Joe Bonnier. Team manager Von Henstein talks about it.
Yeah, unfortunately it's a little bit too new, but it seems to be the fate of all manufacturers that they only get their cars, their new cars ready the very last minute. And so it happened with this car, it has only been eager for market very less, for we don't know much about it. We had some similar cars test driven, but of course not on a circuit like this and not in conditions like here. I always like the pure road races. I used to love them in Emilia, but that doesn't exist anymore.
How many times have you driven Targa?
6 times. This is my 7th time.
I suppose. How many times have you won?
I won it twice.
And placings?
Let's see now. I finished, actually, out of the 6 times I've driven here, I finished 4 times. And I won it twice. I finished second once, and I finished third one.
How do you rate your chances this time?
Well, I hope we win.
Next, Tommy Wisdom speaks to Ludovico Scarfiotti, Italian victor of Le Mans 1963.
Compare with those other races which you've engaged in.
Well, it's very interesting. Like races, it remains only this after the Mille Miglia. Is I would say a race in the street, like Mille Miglia, little Mille Miglia. I like very much it, which is very, very, very hard because it's very stancante, fatico. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, fatiguing indeed. That's the Targa Florio. By now, Timo is driving up to the Heights by Caltabatura, the highest part of the course and about 28 kilometers out. Here, he sweeps left down the road built specially by Mussolini for the Targa. Then it's down the side of the mountains to the Imara Valley.
I think it's very much like a rally. It's like a series of special stages in the Alps. It's fabulous. I'll enjoy it whether we finish high up or not. It's good fun.
Timo's hammering hard, and it's as well to remember that the roads aren't closed, even when under pressure from a works Ferrari.
I reckon it's the toughest track race in existence in the world for a motor car and for the driver, because the concentration which you require for driving around this circuit is incredible. There's no mode of relaxation whatsoever. You've got to be absolutely 100% on the ball all the time. I like the challenge. The more difficult it is, the more I enjoy it. We have a special set of gearbox ratios for the cars where first, second, third and fourth are all really close together for rushing around the mountains. And then on the 6 kilometer straight, we have what's the equivalent of an overdrive top. And we put the thing in the top gear to rush down there at something like up to 12 miles. You're doing 175, are you, on that? The one straight on the course.
6 kilometers dead straight, and we go to Rebels.
And so to official practice. Tommy Wisdom is in the pits finding out what's what and telling the boys, no doubt, of his Jaguar experiences here in 1953. Lorenzo Bandini, winner of Le Mans in 1963, talks with his co-driver of that occasion, Ludovico Scarpiotti. This time, Bandini is to share with Nino Baccarella, Scarpiotti with Mike Parks. And so, practice begins. Timo demonstrates his particular recipe for saving the tires. Keep them airborne. Practice times in the Targa have no effect on starting positions, but most people try like mad. The Pucci Persia is the only practice casualty, crashed by Bianini without personal injury, but it isn't the end of Pucci's race, for he is to move in with class on another of the works cars, number 94. The new Porsche is causing bother. Neither Graham Hill nor Joe Bonnier like its handling, and opt to drive an 8-cylinder, leaving number 182 to Colin Davis and Gerhard Mitter. Clay Hawkins puts up a good practice time in the Big Healy, but there's nobody to touch Sicilian-born Nino Baccarella in the 275 P2 Ferrari. He's a schoolmaster in Palermo, the popular hero. Local knowledge is a tremendous advantage on a circuit as long as this. Listen to his teammate, Ludovico Scarpiotti.
Baccarella, every day when you come here to do a bet in the sea, you go to do a lap in the Targa Florio. That's very, very quick, very. It's not easy to do the same time. Eh?
Yes, not very easy to beat, for Baccarella has just become the first man ever to better 40 minutes for the 45-mile Piccolo Madoni circuit, and very hot work it seems to have been. As race morning approaches, innate men complete their token gestures, the enthusiasts have decorated the circuit, and the drivers have added some road songs of their own, which can't be found in any highway code. Posters urge the populace to good race behavior, to keep dogs indoors, to sit inside the bend. And here's one which could well be translated as, lock up your daughters. So to the dawn of race day, and all around the circuit people are early awake. At the grandstand, the turnstiles click, although most sensible Sicilians see the show for nothing. The pre-start atmosphere comes up with the sun. It's Targa Florio Day. The 59 cars line up in order of departure, smallest first, 30 seconds between each. Before them, 10 laps, 450 miles of one of the toughest racing circuits in the world. There's Peter Harper in tigerish mood and Joe Bonnier in the souvenir business. The marshal's late return delays the start due at 8 a.m. by 12 minutes. Jeff Healy, suitably dressed for the occasion, gets the Sprite ready for Ultimo. And there's Bandini, debonair as ever as the tension mounts. Now, the first car of the 1300cc GT class is on the line. There's just 30 seconds to go. It's the Gioda Alpine. The Petruzzi Poro Alpha TZ. Virgilio in a Works A-Bot. Paddy Hopkirk in the MG Midget. Dennett's due to lead the 1300 GT class on lap 1 and to crash on lap 2. The Businella Todara Alpha. Another TZ, Bianchi Roland. Class and the Porsche 904. Timo Mäkinen. Ferrari GTO, Pucaccio. Before the prototypes are away, the early numbers are storming through Cheddar, awakening the early morning village echoes. The Kalash Tibeta Virgilio Abart is going great guns. It passes 11 cars on the first lap. Back at the pits, the prototypes are on the line. Algernon in the Sprite. Jobonia. Colin Davis. The Ford, Bondurant piloting. Now the big bangers are chasing the small cars hard, and the race is really on. The Alpine of Borrieux-sur-Nice. Paddy's going well and really trying. "20 kilometers out now, down into the river valley and up the other side. That's the Hermancella Abart. Manioli is in Porsche number 176. 196 is the works Ferrari of Biscaldi. Up on the Cultivatura heights now, and the multiple echoes from the mountains add to the din. You can hear a car 10 kilometers up the road. Now trouble begins. The Tobetti Grana 275LM buckles a wheel. The car, incidentally, was homologated only in Italy. This incident takes 15 minutes to sort out, but it gets going again. Chenis isn't so lucky in his works Alpine. For him, the race is over. And coming up, the only time you'll see number 112, the Ulysses Marchesu GTO, in mint condition. '94 is the Pucci class Porsche 904 again. Here's Paddy Hupkirk on his way up to Bivio Polizzi, 38 kilometers out, and here's Timo. Guichet in the third P2. Colisano, a typical sleepy Sicilian village a week ago, now just a part of a racing circuit. In the Targa, many drivers cloak themselves in anonymity. Believe it or not, that Alpha is driven by Ben Hur and the Tortoise. Onto the straight, and it's almost the end of lap 1. A maroon is fired as each car nears the pit area. It sounds for the Virgilio Abart, first on the road. Manioli, 6th overall. Vaccarella in the lead. Colin Davis, 10th. Scarfiotti, 2nd. The Ford, 3rd. Vaccarella's time, 40 minutes 5 seconds from a standing start. Only 4.7 seconds outside Vinnie Meres's existing record. The Sicilians treat their motor racing in gala fashion, but they take it no less seriously for all that. It's the big day out in the year, and not even an angry Ferrari can cut the supply lines. The circuit itself is a place for pedestrians as well as for cars, and sitting on the outside of the bend, legs dangling, means nothing to Luigi. It's a picnic fiesta, and a roaring racing car doesn't stop you trumping your partner's ace. Even the Sicilian dogs refuse to recognize that motor racing is dangerous. De Bourbon's GTO has been shunted already. Later, he is to crash more seriously. After a bad first lap, Colin Davis is pushing hard. And so is the Ford GT. Vaccarella's going even faster. Lap 2 takes him less than the magic 40, 39.21 to be exact, 39.3 seconds inside the previous record. There's that GTO again after modifications. Vaccarella in action. Manioli. Guichet. As expected, the big Healy is in the pits early. The Scandinavian style gives the tyre people grey hair, we're told.
Too loud. Well, don't change that. I'll tell you what. I got one. Leave the front.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 laps, 4, okay.
The Ferrari GTO is also in for a quick check on its fore and aft rebuilding. Scarfiott is still in second place, but soon there's drama in the Ferrari pit when team manager Dragoni learns that the car's steering has gone and it's a bit bent in consequence. But the other 3 works Ferraris are still going, and Bandini has time to get his shoes right before Vaccarella comes in at the end of the 3rd lap. Nino Vaccarella has won his co-driver a lead of nearly 5 minutes, and the prancing horse of Modena has his hopes well up. However, here's the Tiger in a 4-4 drift. Rhino Altonen's rally technique has got him to 3rd place in class. A secondary pit area has been established on the high ground up by Bivio Polizzi, and a good thing too for some of the competitors, among them the Topetti Grana Ferrari. There are a few further modifications necessary for the Ulysses Marchesi Ferrari, but they don't take long, and it's soon on its way again. The rubber hammers are much in demand at the Polizzi pits. That's the Blue and Sour Ferrari GTO, receiving a spot of body bashing. The Sicilian dust is being raised with a vengeance now as the roads take their ferocious annual pounding. Bandini is holding on to the lead. Maglioli is running fifth overall, and as the cars become more and more mixed up, lap charts are a problem for the enthusiasts. The Maglioli Porsche comes in at the end of the fourth lap. As the cacti drowse in the midday sun, the original entry of 59 becomes more and more depleted. For many of the drivers, the long walk back has already begun. The Cibetta Virgilio Abart is solidly in the lead in the smallest GT class, and Bandini leads the race overall. And in the Targa, it isn't only the drivers who dice with death. At times, the circuit looks like bank holiday on the Brighton Road. But the crowds, there are over 250,000 around the circuit, enjoy every second. Sir John Whitmore, third overall. And the Sprite is still third in its class. The beautiful fin-tailed Alpine of Garcia is running second in the 1600 prototype class, but it is soon to crash and catch fire. 196, the Biscaldi Deserti GTB is fourth in class, so in the big prototypes it's Ferrari, Ferrari, Ford, Ferrari. Now the Sprite is having its own private war with the bent and battered Ferrari GTO. There's some hairy driving among the small GTs. The Abarth number 26 still has it, but the Gilberti Nor car number 28 is trying hard. And so is Hopkirk in third place. There can be no doubt about it that he is really enjoying his special stages in the Sicilian Alps. Half distance now. John Whitmore, holding the Ford GT in third place overall, comes near to disaster when his wheel comes off on the straight and the hub nut can't be found. Eventually, a spectator returns it. And still, Bandini's Ferrari continues to set the pace. With the Ford in trouble, the Maglioli Porsche is up to third place overall. Having limped back to the pits, the Ford gets rapid attention. Whitmore had found time to ring up the press box with a warning message. It could only happen in the Targa. The car is passed as okay, but the incident puts it right out of the running for a major award. And that's right. Make sure they stay on this time. If that helmet transfer is worn backwards for luck, it just isn't working. But Bob Bonjoran sets off, determined as ever. Now Paddy's drive ends as he hands the valiant midget over to Andrew Hedges. His has been a considerable achievement, for the almost standard midget is only 8 minutes behind the class leaders, the very hot Abarts, a position not acquired without a certain expenditure of the hot Turk's sweat.
Keep going, keep going.
No, change it quick.
Soon news comes that the Abart, lying second in the 1300 GT category, has crashed and that the midget is now in second place. But further drama, here's the class leader with a broken throttle linkage at a time when every second counts. Virgilio displays understandable impatience as he sees his class lead disappearing second by second. But the delay is not quite long enough for Hedges and the midget, and the status quo is soon restored. The Hermann-Scheller Abart, fourth overall, spins, but stays well ahead in the 1600 prototype class. Now the Ford is going great guns in a desperate effort to regain lost time, and the 49 Targa Florio is still full of excitement and incident. Chart experts a nightmare, with cars all round the course, and many of them on different laps. While the noise, it's all much too complicated for Mama. More bad news for Ferrari. The Bugatti Guichet car is out on the course with ignition trouble, and Bugatti has had a long walk back to Cerda. But there's nothing the matter with Bandini as he roars in to redeliver Nino's original lead with its pristine timing. 5 minutes ahead of the rest of the field, now led by the new Porsche driven by Davis and Mitter. Bonnier and Hill must be kicking themselves.
Tu bisogna fare benzina, tranquillo, eh? Se c'è bisogno di insegnarti, i dragoni lo vedrà con il grande cartello per il proseguire.
So now it's Nino's turn again, and, barring accidents, he must win. Now the Hill Bonnier Porsche comes in 5 minutes late. Graham had lost time earlier when a throttle linkage broke up by the Polizzi pits. Bonnier takes over and Graham looks far from happy. But the Porsche grip has tightened on the Ferraris, and von Henstein's cars now run second, third and fifth overall. The Ford GT efforts are finally brought to nothing when Bondurant, trying perhaps a fraction too hard, ends up against a concrete road post. But his is not the only disappointment. The Biscaldi Deserti Ferrari, second in the 3-litre prototype class, is as good as out with transmission trouble, and the Porsche hold on the Targa Florio of 1965 strengthens still further. And the Montblanc, who are second, third, fourth and fifth. The Big Healy was running first in class, but ignition trouble lost it time, and now it's second. The Sprite is being driven with typical determination. And now the leader starts his 10th and final lap. The Davis-Mitter Porsche is second. It becomes a matter of Sicilian honor. Bonnier is fourth. Behind the leaders scurry the class winners. Of the small GTs, the Abarth is still first, with the midget second. The Revetta Staraba GTO leads the 3-litre GT class, with the Healy still second. And third in this class, the Ulysses Marchesi GTO. The Hermancella Abarth leads the Sprite in the 1600 prototype class and runs sixth overall. But all the Sicilian interest is centered on Vaccarella and the big red Ferrari as it rushes towards the finish. Calciapatura for the last time. Polisano for the last time. And onto the coast road. 10 kilometers to go, and 6 of them straight. So Vaccarella and Bandini win for Ferrari, with Porsche second, third, fourth and fifth. What a triumph for the Sicilian-born driver, the headmaster from Palermo, who now joins the great names of the Targa winners. The Sicilians are so excited that they nearly forget that Bandini also did something towards it. But for Vaccarella, winning his own race in his own country, this is a day to remember. For the winners, the laurels of perhaps the only real road race left in the world today, and the 49th Targa Florio ends in the way that every Sicilian dreams. But to the victors themselves, the final word.
Yes, I love Targa Florio because it's the competition of my house. Okay, and Lorenzo, I like it too much Targa Florio. I much
Dipende.
So the cheering and the tumult die, and the Piccolo Madoni circuit is just an ordinary road again.
E a 20 anni circa ho potuto avere un'officina mia e lavorare in conto proprio. Di lì, dopo un anno o due, ho incominciato con le piccole cilindrate, ho incominciato a correre in automobile e di lì, passo per passo, sono arrivato.
Senta Bandini, qual è oggi la classifica mondiale dei conduttori di Formula 1?
Beh, in testa Brabham con 12 punti, seguo io con 11 punti e poi c'è Surtees, Jackie Stewart e altri a pari punti.
Lei chi è che teme di più?
Beh, sono tutti avversari pericolosi perché sono tutti i piloti di prim'ordine, diciamo, e quindi ci possono essere delle sorprese in corsa da tutti.
Bandini esclude di poter correre a Brandage la quarta prova del campionato del mondo?
Beh sì, lo escludo nel modo più assoluto, dato quelli, diciamo, controversie che ci sono state e per un fattore tempo non facciamo in tempo andare a correre a Branzacce. Questa prova per me era molto determinante, dato che sono nelle prime posizioni del campionato del mondo.
Cosa pensa della decisione di Ferrari di ritirarsi dalle corse?
Beh, effettivamente non è stata una decisione di ritirarsi dalle corse, perlomeno io l'ho interpretata così. Fino a quando ci sono queste cose che non seguono il ritmo che devono seguire, purtroppo non si fa in tempo a andare alle competizioni. Appena si è ristabilito che il lavoro riprende normalmente, riprenderà a correre.
Bandini, perché ha scelto nella vita di fare il pilota?
Beh, innanzitutto penso per una, chiamiamola vocazione, una gran passione, sia per le corse che per la meccanica. E io ho fatto grandi sacrifici per riuscire a correre in automobile e cercare di sfondare appunto in questo campo. E non so proprio che cosa mi abbia indotto a farlo. Io ho fatto la prima corsa con una macchina da turismo e poi mi è venuta questa malattia e non mi è più andata via.
Un pilota ha bisogno di fare una particolare preparazione atletica?
Beh, direi in un certo senso sì, perché oggi le corse in automobile sono molto molto tirate e diciamo e devi andare quasi per tutta la corsa sempre al limite senza avere esitazioni, quindi ci vuole un fisico ben preparato, ben riposato e non avere preoccupazioni soprattutto, e una gran voglia di vincere.
Qual è, secondo l'opinione dei più grandi piloti, il percorso più difficile del mondo?
Beh, ogni pilota ha il suo circuito preferito. Può vedere un circuito pericoloso, uno che non è pericoloso, o viceversa. Comunque, in generale, parlando con i miei, chiamiamo, colleghi o compagni, in genere il Nürburgring, perché è il circuito più difficile, pieno di curve, salite, discese, e lì non ci sono risorse perché è in mezzo a un bosco, quindi neanche ben protetto da guardrail, niente. Quindi è anche la più pericolosa.
Bandini, lei è superstizioso?
No, assolutamente. Essere superstiziosi uno non vive molto in pace, specialmente se corre in automobile, penso.
Lei è ricco?
No, io non sono ricco. Come le dicevo prima, ho dovuto incominciare a lavorare con tanti sacrifici. Sono arrivato a poter acquistare qualche automobile da corsa da turismo e poi grazie al commendator Ferrari mi ha preso nella sua scuderia anche quando non ero, diciamo, un pilota provetto.
Dopo il ritiro di Rem dovuto a un banale incidente di macchina, lei spera ancora di vincere il campionato del mondo?
Beh, io lo spero e sogno di vincere il campionato del mondo e farò il possibile per poterlo vincere.
Una macchina che le viene affidata per una corsa è tecnicamente perfetta?
Beh, sono tecnicamente perfette, ma però non sono mai finite perché il progresso ti induce sempre a fare modifiche. Quindi una macchina da corsa è tecnicamente sempre perfetta, ma non sarà mai finita.
Fino a quando pensa di correre?
Beh, io spero il più a lungo possibile, perché quel giorno che io smetterò di correre mi sentirò molto vecchio.
Per un pilota che può diventare campione del mondo e forse dovrà rinunciarvi non per colpa sua, non è facile fare il turista né divertirsi. Il tempo libero per uno come Bandini è solo un modo di dire. Su quel giocattolo che per lui è il go-kart, egli non può che ritrovare i suoi motivi più consueti.